Hi.
No, no
I
worries,
have.
no worries. Yeah, it sounds like people are moving and grooving in the background.
Let's try here.
Great to
So we
see
are
you.
now at Tiara in Ubud, and I think
So you're at Tiara?
yes, I'm at Tiara. I
Okay.
had thought to be home, but there was many synchronistic alignments in this day, and this day was completely unexpected. So I was surrendering to the alignments that happened. So I happen to be here now, but
Beautiful.
I'm grateful that I can join you.
Grateful as well. Grateful to have you here. And do all your friends, do friends call you just Tia, Tiana, Tia? Like what do your friends usually call you?
Tia.
Just Tia.
Yes.
Okay. And what does it mean?
Uh, um, I like that you asked that. So, the literal translation of Tiya is you, me. So my name literally means that I am another you.
You, me.
Yes.
Like a reflection, like a mirror reflection.
Yeah, and it's actually my birth name. So it means you, me.
Wow. Wow, that is beautiful. Just what a reflection, you know? Just a reminder for people to have that connection.
Exactly. And
Oh my goodness.
I believe that uh, words are frequencies, and especially our names. So I had found out that in one of the first civilizations on Earth, which was the Mu civilization, many thousands and million years ago, we came on this Earth as light beings. So we were not materialized in our physical bodies.
Mm,
We were literally frequencies of consciousness and frequency beings.
mm,
So when we were these frequency beings, we still had names for each other, but these names were not our given names. These names were the frequencies that we would see each other as,
mm,
because we would literally see each other as a frequency. And we could hold many different names as we embody many different frequencies.
mhm. Whoa. And this was Mu.
Yes.
Mu. Oh my gosh. I gotta research this. I gotta look this up. This is amazing. When did you learn about this?
Several years ago, I was really curious to discover more about Lemuria,
Mm,
as I had met this beautiful artist here in Bali called Izzy Ivy.
mm,
Izzy Ivy, she creates higher dimensional art, and
mhm.
I had seen some of her paintings, and her series at that time was about Lemuria.
Okay.
And I saw some of her art, and I felt, wow, what she's painting, feels more real than anything I've seen in this life.
Wow.
And so it really inspired me to look deeper into it. And so I learned that Mu was one of these first civilizations as the consciousness incarnated on Earth.
Mhm.
And so it existed for a very long time. And Lemuria is actually um, kind of like one of the, let's call it, states
Mm.
that emerged later. So Lemuria is something that's slightly more recent for us. And I feel very connected to all of this. And just a few months ago, I was visiting my home country, Bosnia. And I don't know if you know, we have pyramids there.
Mm.
And these pyramids are 30,000 years old, built on crystal technologies. And I found out that they were built by Lemurians.
Wow. Wow. Oh my gosh. What did it do for you to have that connection, in Bosnia to realize the Lemurian connection in your homeland?
It was very powerful.
Okay.
It really created a feeling of homecoming, because I had not felt so resonant with this place
Mm-hmm.
growing up there. I was actually born during the Balkan War, so it was a really beautiful time of this country when it was Yugoslavia, and then the war happened, and then I was born at this time. And as a child, I was always confused. How did I choose this place? I don't feel like I belong here.
Right.
Why is there separation and suffering?
Right.
And I don't feel related to this culture in this time, and I could not relate to people my whole life. And only in the last few recent years, I had started to understand more of my connection to this place, more of the reasons why I chose to come there. And so this was really the cherry on top of that. This
Mm-hmm.
2 months ago, when I understood, wow, these pyramids are 3 hours away by car from where I was born.
Whoa. Whoa. Wow, right around the corner. You know, it's interesting when you're talking about this, Tia, because, you know, just asking yourself that question, it's a very vulnerable, you know, very human question is just asking, like, you know, very philosophical and thought-provoking. Why am I here? Why did I choose to come here? And why did I choose to come here? You know? So do you feel like whether consciously or unconsciously, like we all have made a choice? Do you feel like we all made a choice?
In some way or another, through our previous choices, through our dharma, in some way or another, that choice was ingrained. And I actually also found out in the last few years that I had created for myself a spell in a life many lifetimes ago. And this spell was affecting me through many lifetimes until it was moment to end this spell. And so I believe that this also exists. So we create certain contracts and agreements and intentions in lives, and they carry on through our lifetimes. And actually, interestingly enough, just today, one of these unexpected experiences that happened today was that one of my closest brothers had just come back to the island last night. I had no idea. He messaged me, I must come tomorrow and bring some tea. And I said, okay. He had just come back from China and Taiwan. It was a super amazing tea meeting. And he shared that, I kind of know this from before, but it was a really beautiful reminder. He shared that tea holds its own destiny, and tea loves to be shared with people.
Yeah.
Tea chooses who it will be shared with because it brings a certain consciousness and vibration to the people, and it chooses to come to you if it must come to you. And in China, they believe if you're supposed to drink a certain tea, you will drink it, whether it's in this lifetime or any of your next lifetimes, it will happen.
Wow. So it's destiny.
Destiny.
Destiny. Oh my gosh. You know, it's refreshing, it's beautiful just to hear, you know, not only just your voice, but your vision, you know, when you're talking to you, it's just such a perspective within the collective. Like some people are very logical, you know, some people are very scientific, some people are very just, you know, from point A to point B. But I love how your reflection and your connection with destiny, you know, just to see the connection, you're connecting the dots that aren't linear, you know, that they go throughout all space and time, they transcend all space and time, and you're like, whether it's in this lifetime or the next, you're gonna have it, you know, it's destiny. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Did you always think like this, like have faith and belief like this?
Well, it's interesting because I've always felt very different to the norm since I was a child. I feel like I've had some previous lifetimes where I have uh, expanded my consciousness and awareness, and I feel like I was born in this life still holding that, but very much not able to express that in the real world because nothing around me was mirroring that. Um, So the beliefs that were true to me, I was denying inside of myself because it was not what was normal. So it took many years of accepting and reprogramming to then come back to these places where I feel, oh, I've always known this. Oh, I've always believed this. And now everything around me is saying that too. Now everything around, now finally it's like, it's also about the destiny. It's like, okay, no matter where we are put, no matter how we feel or what our life looks like, if we're truly on our path and believe and are doing the right thing we are doing, it's always going to lead us to be surrounded by exactly what we believe in, what we resonate with. And so I think that's kind of, yeah, how that
Wow.
unfolded for me.
What an affirmation, you know, what a confirmation and a revelation just to have, like, it, all is well, you know, I'm taken care of, everything that comes from this situation, you know, only good can come. I am safe, you know, all is well, it's destiny, it's gonna be, you know, and it's for me and it will be, and I am free, you know. So I just love that you have adopted this. And you know, it's interesting because you were talking about breaking a spell. You said at one point that there was a spell over you that you had to break. Can you talk about that, Tia? How did you break the spell?
So I had some negative experiences with a being in this life that I feel very close with. But and we feel like we know each other for eons. There were moments when I was standing in front of him feeling, wow, how can this person that I feel like I know for literally a million years, how can they hurt me? And 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 it was very hard to understand and accept. So in the physical realm, we finally managed to separate and not to be in each other's lives. And then at some point, I met two Egyptian alchemists. And when I started doing some alchemy work with them, they said that there is a spell with this being from Egyptian times. And that during Egyptian times, well, one thing to note is that it's considered that Egyptian magic is the most powerful and strong magic there is. So basically, let's say now we're like super advanced with how we're building our phones and computers versus how it was like 50 years ago, and it's this huge advancement. Something like that, similar with magic in Egyptian times. So they were getting really advanced with magic and spells and rituals. And oftentimes, if we see magic from different parts of the world, and if you know, let's say, Peruvian magic, you can maybe understand Indonesian magic and vice versa. It kind of cross translates. But with Egyptian magic, it's so much more advanced and complex and specific that to understand and know Egyptian magic, you must train in Egyptian magic or receive the codes for Egyptian magic. So they practice it, and they could see that in an Egyptian lifetime, I and this being had chosen to create a spell. So apparently, in Egyptian times, we were, as we were doing this, so we had found ways to create new spells, more powerful spells, and there was an inspiration to um, to create spells that were binding souls together for lifetimes. So, so imagine you meet a girl and you fall in love with her and you think, wow, I want to be with you in every lifetime. I'm so in love with you. So actually, in Egypt, this was happening culturally. People were at that level where they were able to create those spells and feeling in love with someone. They thought, and it was something new. So nobody knew what are the consequences. So they thought, okay, we can bind our souls together to incarnate in every next incarnation together, to be together. So we had created this spell, but obviously this spell is not in alignment with destiny. It's not in alignment with divine order where our souls are actually free and sovereign. And through lifetimes we choose to go on separate paths. We often re-meet these souls, but we don't meet them from a place of contract where we must do something together. So apparently, and I feel this to be true, we have then met in many different lifetimes since then, and there was a lot of suffering. And in these lifetimes, I felt like I must be with him and I need to be with him. And I was not happy with my life and my destiny that was in front of me because there was this spell that I believed that I must choose him and somehow follow to be with him, even though it was not aligned.
Wow.
So in this life, it actually happened. We came together and it was not aligned.
Oh my
And
God.
we couldn't understand why are we really trying to come together so much when it just doesn't feel right. It feels like something is pulling us together, yet this is not the right destiny, but how do we understand it?
Right.
And so when I understood this and we went through this process of detangling from this spell, it actually created more harmony between us. So it untangled us from the spell and from the binding, but it opened freedom and it opened truth and it opened more harmony and sovereignty of both of our beings to now be able to relate to each other from a place of more neutrality.
Mm. Okay. Thank you for this explanation, Tia. This is fascinating. I have not heard this like this in depth on this level before. You know, when you're just talking about untangling the entanglement, you know, untethering the entanglement. And, you know, you hear people talk about twin flames and soulmates and, you know, these relationships and situationships and lituationships, you know, but I rarely ever, if ever, hear about spells and binding, you know, the finding of the binding and intertwining and aligning two beings from completely past lives that you created a spell to always be together. And it sounds like you changed your soul path. Is that what you did? You like you rewrote the story in your whole soul path?
Yes, so it affected every lifetime since then, and
Okay.
it created suffering in different lifetimes in different ways because it's just not the right thing to do. That's in our freedom. So it was, I guess, a soul reminder for me to really be conscious with the magic that I create and the intentions I put out, and that ultimately, as divine beings, we are sovereign and free. And so we must honor our own sovereignty and the sovereignty of the other to be able to walk in truth and allow what is for us to be for us.
I agree. I agree, Tia. I agree with you, you know, wholeheartedly. I'd love to hear you, you know, speak on if you feel that everyone, you know, every being is destined to have a divine counterpart. Do you feel like we are all destined, not that we desire a counterpart or not that we deserve a counterpart, but like are we destined to each have one, or is it okay for people to be alone? Like solitude, is that okay?
That's such an interesting question and has so many layers of what I feel about this. And I can give you many different points of answer. So I will just allow whatever is for this moment to be shared. And that is that I do truly feel there is a huge gift and blessing in coming together in union. And that this gift and blessing is available for all of us if we choose so. And I still, in my journey, am going through the motions of understanding and um, what it truly means to come into this divine union, and what does it mean to commit to a person that you're going to uncover this template further and further, and why do we choose that one specific person, and what exactly is the path that we share with that one person. I, in my life, feel so much unconditional love for many beings, and I believe in my inner self, I believe that there is that one ultimate divine counterpart for us. And at the same time, I feel and experience that there are many. So it's a question that I am also understanding in myself. What does it mean when there is that deep, deep soul knowing of another and deep alignment to be with them and to create with them, and that can change. So it's kind of this message of impermanence and of being with what is now. If if now our life is guiding us to be alone, may we be alone. If now our life is presenting to us the offer of this divine counterpart, may we receive it. And may we not be attached to that counterpart staying or leaving. And this is the journey of healing and transformation. And I do feel that in this life, we do have the blessing of healing through union. Union is such an amazing soul school. And,
Wow.
and things that arise in union will not arise for you when you are alone. This is
Okay.
both a challenge and a blessing.
Okay. I feel that. I feel the energy of that, you know, the soul school, you know, like the university within the universe, you know? Like you remind me of you've read the Tao Te Ching? So the Tao Te Ching, it talks about the master, you know? And the master, it refers to her, it says that, you know, when people come, she lets them come. And when people go, she lets them go, you know? Like the master, Lao Tzu wrote about the Tao Te Ching, the master. And I believe that's so awesome, just to have that level of detachment, even in destiny. Even in destiny, you have that detachment to know, hey, if it comes, it comes. If it goes, it goes. Like that's how the energy flows. Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
So that is awesome, Tia. You know, I'd love to hear more as well about Camelia Sinensis. How do you?
Amazing. This is my favorite
Yeah.
topic.
How do you pronounce it? How do you pronounce it?
Camelia Sinensis, you are right.
Yeah. Can you talk about this? Because I'm fascinated. I've never heard about this topic before, this subject. I do, you know, I cultivate my chi space, but you cultivate your tea space. You know, we practice qi gong, you practice tea gong, you know? So please like let us know about these things that just, you know, help us with our awareness.
Thank you for inviting this topic.
Mm,
I'm really grateful to be able to speak on tea.
mm,
So, Camellia sinensis is the tea plant. Camellia sinensis originates from China and more specifically considered to originate from Yunnan, China. And then it spread on other areas where in India it became Camellia sinensis assamica, so another variety of the same plant. Then this assamica spread around the world. Now tea plant grows almost everywhere in the world, and it's considered to be the most drunk beverage on the planet after water.
wow.
In every culture almost now we have tea. And so the interesting things I can share about tea is that in ancient Chinese culture, tea is considered to be a direct incarnation of heavenly consciousness on earth,
Mm,
where heavenly consciousness wanted to share this frequency, information, consciousness with people and support humanity on their ascension journey. So it came to incarnate on this planet in the form of the tea plant. So for them, they believe that the tea plant holds the tea spirit. And that
okay.
the tea spirit is a very high consciousness spirit that is here to support us in many ways. Another
Wow.
interesting thing is that the word tea actually comes from the old Chinese word for tea, which is also tea.
Mm,
So the modern word we know is cha, but actually that word is only 500 years old.
okay.
And tea is the original word for tea. And in Chinese, the word for heaven is tian.
Tien, like Dantien.
Yes.
Wow.
So, so tea is really the root of heaven.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, they do call them the like the upper Dantien, the lower Dantien. It's like the upper heaven and the lower heaven.
yes.
Okay.
So, and interestingly, I have also tea in my name.
Yes.
Um, so it's actually even how I began my tea journey. I understood one day, oh, I have chosen, my Facebook name was Tea Tree, and just this name came to me at some point. I was using it. It had many different meanings for me.
Mm,
And at some point I realized, oh, I've chosen to carry this name Tea Tree. maybe I'm supposed to be serving tea and in service to the tea plant. And so I asked to be initiated, and I was, and from there my path unfolded. And as we remember that in Mu times, our names are frequencies. Right. So this frequency was already in my name, right, and already in my dharma to be shared through me. Yeah. So Camelia Sinensis, or tea. So all tea comes from this one plant, and other things such as chamomile, mint, lavender, all these other herbs, they're herbal infusions. So when we talk about tea, we always talk about Camelia Sinensis.
Okay.
And then Camelia Sinensis can be processed in 7 genres. So we've heard about green tea. Green tea is one famous genre of tea now. Almost everyone knows about green tea. Then we also have white tea, yellow tea, oolong, red tea, which in the West is called black tea. Actually, it's called red tea in China. And then we also have black tea, which is the more fermented version. And after that, pu'er. So there are these 7 genres of tea. And when we talk about tea, Camelia Sinensis, it's one of these 7 genres. And it's about both the terroir, meaning where the tea comes from, and also how we process it. That determines what genre of tea it becomes.
Got it. This is awesome. You know, just to have such a thorough breakdown and in-depth analysis in real time from Tiya Magiya, you know, just about tea. This is the first time I've ever touched on this topic. You know, I've done tons and tons of interviews and just conversations and felt the vibration, you know, but it's awesome to see that even around the whole nation, you know, the different incarnations of tea, it's like it transcends like all these cultures and customs and countries and continents, and everybody has their own tea, you know?
Yeah.
So this is a beautiful harmony and a beautiful just togetherness. You know, you're bringing people together as well into this frequency, into harmony with each other, to have fellowship with each other, to have, you know, divine union with one another and community. You're really bringing in community, and to help people remember, you know, ourselves in new ways. And just with tea itself, you know, just having that be the origin point. I love this. The frequency of divinity, you know, like to take you to infinity with the frequency of divinity. Can you recall, Tiya, the first time that, you know, you imbibed, or the first time that you had, you know, a tea of that magnitude, maybe one of those ancient Chinese teas that really just brought you back into a realm where you were like, okay, this is it. This is what I need to be doing for the rest of my life.
Yes. So I agree with what you said about tea being now around the world and available and accessible to everyone, but not all tea is the same.
Right.
So most of the tea that people get to consume is no longer alive, is no longer holding that chi. It's been heavily processed and stripped away from its essence.
Okay.
It still can, in some form, if we really hold that intention, connect us to the same thing. But it doesn't take us there in the same way. So I feel really blessed that I've been for now more than 5 years participating and hosting these tea ceremonies. And around 5 years ago, I was with a practitioner of tea who is in the Cha Dao tradition, and in his tradition and lineage, tea is really studied for its energetic effects. And as we said, the tea is consciousness. They really study how tea can help to move us on the scales of consciousness. So they really perceive like, wow, this tea is holding the frequency of joy. This tea is holding the frequency of bliss. This tea is holding the frequency of enlightenment. And they even create intentional journeys where they will serve different teas, one after the other, from different places, with different energetic profiles, and invite you into a place where you can experience your consciousness moving through these different states of expansion, and how really your consciousness and awareness expands and your feeling and experience of this reality shifts. So I was in one of these ceremonies, and I had not been in that many tea ceremonies before this one. And I was sitting there and thinking, wow, this is so profound. I could really feel it and experience it. I thought, wow, this is so rare to find this, to experience this. Here in Bali, we're actually quite blessed and privileged that we have quite a lot of tea and good tea and people who love tea and share tea in these types of ways. So that journey really inspired me, and from there, very shortly after, I have asked to be initiated.
Wow. This is amazing. Like I almost, as you were speaking, Tia, I was finding it hard to contain myself. You were giving me like just goosebumps when you're talking about the frequency of tea, and just it sounded like have you ever seen Dragon Ball Z? You've seen Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
So this was like Dragon Ball T. This was like Dragon Ball T. You're talking about in different places, and it's like in different spaces there's like different, attunements, different tea attunements and frequencies, and just the vibration of, okay, this tea holds the frequency of bliss, and this tea holds the frequency of enlightenment, and this tea holds the frequency of peace and of joy and of, like all of these different frequencies and these teas that you drink frequently. And it's like you're meshing, the alchemical potion, you're raising your energy quotient, you have more love and devotion. It's like the ocean, it's like endless, endless. This is amazing to feel your energy raising on this level. Just Dragon Ball T. You're going to another, that's
It's so
awesome.
funny. I want to share something about this, and
Okay, go ahead.
it's that tea really works
Okay.
subtly. So when I began my tea journey, I felt such a strong connection and so happy to be able to share this. And I felt like, wow, I'm learning so much about tea. I'm really integrating tea in my life. I'm becoming a tea person. It's transforming me. And now, 5 years later of everyday tea practice, I feel, wow, I don't know anything about tea. I'm so humbled and blessed that tea has come into my life in this way, and I see such a huge transformation that has happened in the subtle realms and in the subtle ways of how much it's transformed me. And I feel I'm just at the beginning of this. And you will meet these tea masters who are 70 years old, and they are like that, but 10 times. They are just so humble and so reverent,
Right.
so full of love, and all that's emanating from them is service.
Right.
Is their question is, dear one, how can I serve you today? And it's such a beautiful gift to see how tea shapes us and how tea supports us to become more humble, more reverent, more peaceful, more aware, more present. All of these different qualities that tea awakens in us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you just for bringing in that element. And I love your humility. I love your humility, Tia, and I also love the respect that you give to the elders, the people that have been doing this before, the people that have explored, and the people that know more, the people that have gone where you have already gone before, So it's awesome just to see that and to also witness just the presence, like you said, just that peaceful presence, the mindfulness of the ceremony itself. I remember I saw on your threads, and you post these lovely threads. If nobody's following your threads, definitely go follow Tia Magiya on threads. She's posting like awesome, just these words of wisdom when it comes to tea and, you know, these topics that you talk about, how, you know, caffeine and coffee gives that jitteriness versus the tea where you can get that presence, that peace, and just that divine oneness, and you can feel abundance just when you're sitting across from somebody or you're sitting around people at your ceremonies. What is it about, you know, just having that amount of presence that you feel like this world would be a completely different place if more people allowed for this type of engagement?
Exactly. So it's interesting because in tea culture, all of what I shared is true, and it always comes back to tea is so much about bringing us together, and tea wants to bring us together and create a platform upon which we can relate in higher consciousness and to create this unity field and to really create deeper relationships. So in ancient China, it was almost considered immoral, and this was up until very recently, and in some more traditional people still hold this. It was considered immoral to have any type of meeting, gathering, ceremony, whether it's work or celebration or wedding, without tea. So tea was always brought in as the space holder, as that which connects us, as that which uplifts us and brings us into these more elevated, connected, peaceful states. So first it would be tea, and then it would be everything else. And I actually practice this in my life. I bring tea into everything I'm doing, and I see the power it holds, and I see the space it holds to connect people, to ground people, just to be present in this moment with each other, to feel themselves. It's a really really powerful gift. And I wanted to add about the masters. There's not that many true real tea masters that are around,
Not many?
and not many. The real true tea people, they are now getting older, and their generation has not been able to transmit to the newer generations.
Okay.
And so to sit with them, they often don't speak any English. To sit with them, there is so much being transmitted just from their energy, just from their beingness, how they are, how they service you, how they look at you, how they treat you, how they treat the tea, how they treat the space. There is so much to be experienced in that no words are necessary.
Wow.
The transmission happens so much through the unspoken and through the way they've cultivated themselves and their space, that it's a real blessing to see how tea works.
Magical. Magical. Wow, it sounds like you're already energetically attuned just to have them in the room, you know?
Would you like to come in? Would you like to come inside to try? Sorry, my apologies.
Oh, no worries.
I was having the call outside, but it was too loud, so I came inside. Would you like to? We have a guest here, so I've just offered the space where I was.
Oh, okay, okay. I see. I see. Did you did you have to take care of them right now, or do you have attendance?
I'm good.
Oh, okay, good. Awesome. Awesome. So it just sounded like, you know, you're already attuned with their presence in the room. It's like an attunement, you know, when you're talking about these wise elders that there's not that many. You said there's really only a few left, you know, on this earth plane when it comes to this level of ceremony and this level, you know. So, oh man, you know, there were just so many lights that were going off as you were speaking, just to understand this. And as well, you know, I know that you're a mother, so with, you know, being a mother, how do you utilize this with your family as well, and how has it brought you and your family together?
That's a really good question. I actually, like as I mentioned before, I really feel how tea can support us in many areas of our life. And so actually becoming a mother and sharing tea in this life happened around the same time for me.
Okay.
So, and both of them were teaching me about presence. Both of them were teaching me about how can I be just more right here, right now, and to let go of anything that is not here and now, and to be fully aware of what's happening in the moment.
Okay.
So as a, you mentioned also before about the alchemy, tea is an alchemy of the elements. We have all 5 elements interacting in the tea ceremony. So tea is an alchemy. It's an alchemy of all the 5 elements. And so as we alchemize the tea, we are alchemizing ourselves.
Okay.
And this is also happening with our children. This is also happening with our children. So it's a big alchemical process, stepping into motherhood and family. And he definitely supported me to alchemize myself, my inner states, my emotional reality, mental reality, and to refine myself as I'm in service to this child, to bring him up and protect him and guide him in this life.
Yes.
Until he's ready to go on his own journey. So definitely the evolution that happens through tea and through motherhood really supports each other.
Beautiful. Beautiful. So that's beautiful, Tia. So it's like you've had more refinement, you've had like much more alignment, and you know the assignment, you know? You know
Exactly.
yeah. You know, before we go, Tia, this has been awesome. You've just given us a wealth of information and you've transmitted a vibration with tea and just all the things that we've touched on, you know, the topics, the origin story, you know, your humble beginnings when it comes to this, and destiny as well. I love the topic of destiny. We have a question for you down here, and Marijan is asking you, Tia, they're saying, what's the best tea to get in the supermarket? Now, you touched on a little bit about this earlier about the differences, but they're asking what are the things that they need to focus on when getting tea, like organic, higher price, you know, what should they
That's a
be
really
focused
good question. So I will share a few
on?
tips. Obviously, we don't want to get the processed tea that's in the packaging in tea bags. So we want to get tea that's loose leaf. This means the tea will come in a bag where you then have to measure and weigh your amount of tea that you're going to use for each serving. So, and when I say also loose leaf, I mean this tea can be in loose leaf form. Sometimes it's in the form of a cake or a brick. These are some of the traditional ways tea comes in. And then, yes, definitely we want to find organic and living teas. So organic teas, if they have an organic certification, it still means they use some organic pesticides and fertilizers, which is definitely better than the conventional, but it's also still not fully natural. So the best that we can find is true natural tea, which often comes from wild forests and places where they're not using any chemicals, things, which is the most aligned with tea and our nature. But of course, organic is also still really good, and it's something that's much more available worldwide. So yes, if one can find non-refined tea, so tea in its loose form, and organic or living or natural non-spray tea, this is preferable.
Okay.
And then explore the different genres of tea that you can find. Another thing is that some teas we want to be fresh. So, and some teas are really good aged. So it's something you have to explore. Perhaps some green teas or some Taiwanese oolongs, they're really much better when they're fresh within the first 1 year. So if it's sitting somewhere on a shelf for a long time, maybe that's not the right one. But then some other teas, they're really good when they age, like aged wine. So it's a whole game to explore. But I hope this gives some insight.
Great insight. Great insight. Definitely, definitely. And you know, I have a curiosity just on the last note. Have there been any teas? I know you talked about the enlightenment nature and just the heightening sensation of just, you know, the divination, the divine nature of tea itself, like really just respecting and cultivating that and honoring that. But have there also been teas that maybe you have delved into or maybe you stray away from that are the psychedelic nature? Like, are there any teas like that?
So, so as we said, tea is always coming from this one plant, Camelia Sinensis,
Mm,
and um, I I wouldn't say that any tea has a psychedelic effect. I'm sure that in ancient China and in Taiwan, masters have found ways to brew tea and combine tea with other herbs that had those effects.
mm,
Um, but I do find that tea really brings us into these expanded states of
mm,
awareness and consciousness. So I have sometimes felt as if I've had, like, let's say, a mushroom tea, uh, on tea, where it's really like receiving visions and insights and things that you would not normally be receiving.
mhm,
So in a way, it does have this type of effect on us, on like really expanding our consciousness and awareness
mhm.
and having a different experience of reality than the norm. It's not
Yes.
to say that if you drink tea you're gonna you shouldn't drive, but it's more to say that it's something, it's something beyond the
Yes.
physical.
Yes, great explanation. Great explanation. And thank you for also giving us a bit of history, Tia. I appreciate the history lesson. We were in class. We were in class today. Class was in session. You know, this has been your profession to see the progression. You know, there's so many lessons, and it's a real blessing. You know, you told us about how that it used to be that tea was the greeting before the big meeting. You know, like we sit down with tea before you and me, we come with the tea, you know? So I love this. Please let people know, you know, if you have any offerings, any services, any things that are available for people to get in tune with you, to get in touch with you even more, what would be the best places for people to go to receive your services?
Thank you. So actually, there is Tiara, which right now I'm inside of Tiara. Tiara is um, lifestyle creation where I create clothes and adornments. We also offer tea and teaware, and we have a store in Ubud in Bali. And soon our online presence is coming. So this month we're actually also launching our international website and web store where you'll be able to find teas and teaware and also clothes for tea and different ritual items. So please connect with Tiara Soulwear on Instagram. If you are curious about this, we also create this really beautiful aesthetic and vibe of embodying our divine selves. So connect with Tiara Soulwear. And I am preparing my tea mentorship program. So
Awesome.
I really wish to launch it this month. And so this, you inviting me for this call and asking these questions is very aligned, and um, it's the destiny. So I'm really grateful. And if anyone is curious about tea mentorship, how they can bring tea into their life, how can tea serve them so they can become better versions of themselves, so they can feel more bliss, more peace, more connection to themselves and those around them, how they can bring the tea ritual to share with their loved ones, with their family, with their co-workers, with their partners, utilize this as a platform for self-awareness, for connection. So I am creating and soon offering a very comprehensive mentorship program for anyone who wants to bring tea into their life, as it's part of my dharma and service to share tea and support people on their awakening journey and also on their embodiment and living a better life.
Yes, yes. Congrats. Congrats on your program.
Thank you.
Congrats. Congrats, Tia. You know, I love this. I love your path. I love learning about your journey. You know, you're changing the karma and you're living your dharma. You know, you're living your dharma. This is so guided. And thank you just for receiving that invitation and just for spreading a positive vibration. We need it. We need it in the world right now. We need it. So much love, my friend. How do you say in Bali? I know they say things like salamat pagi and you know, different stuff. How do
um,
you say see you soon or farewell?
uh, Sampai jumpa lagi.
Sampai jumpa lagi.
But one really beautiful one to say is Om Swastiastu.
Om Swastiastu.
And it means God is good in all directions. Om
Om
Swastiastu.
Swastiastu. All right, till we meet again. Take care.
Blessings.
Take care.